So today, now we are going to start with today's topic. Let me get started, please. So we are going to discuss about the questionnaire, the survey form. So far we have been discussing about measurement, scale, scaling, Likert, item scale, multi-item scale, conceptual definition, operational definition. Now all of these have to come together in the questionnaire, the form that we will give hand over to the respondents. That is what we are going to do. We are going to study now, creating that questionnaire, which will have all these questions and several more questions, and we are going to see the process and understand what is a questionnaire. So a questionnaire is the same as the survey. It is just it has structured questions mostly, but there are options of open-ended questions as well. A questionnaire is a form. A questionnaire is also called a survey or a form or survey instrument. It has mostly structured questions, but there is also opportunity for putting some open-ended questions. How to develop a questionnaire? There is no hard and fast rule. There are only guidelines, and that we are going to look at. What should be the objectives of the questionnaire? Can somebody tell me? Objectives of the questionnaire. To gather in, can you be more precise? To gather information on the variables that we have in our hypothesis and research questions, which we are going to measure. So questionnaire objective is to gather information on all these variables in a way that is easy and understandable for the respondents. So these are the, whatever I said, it's broken down into three. A questionnaire should look appealing to complete, should not be overcrowded, should have all the questions that give answer to my variables. This is the questionnaire design process. 10-step process is there, and we will look at each and every step. The first step is specify the information needed. What is the first step? Specify the information. What does it mean? It means you write down all the variables on which you would like to collect the information. Specify the information needed. If you remember, it is the last step of the last thing in the step number 2. Specify the information needed. Before you develop the questionnaire, write down what all information you would require: age, gender, occupation, relationship status, A, B, Z, everything. Write down so that you have questions for each one of them. That is, specify the information needed. If you leave a particular question that is important and you conduct the survey, then gone. There is then, it is not that you can, just like in the train, there is an option of pulling the chain. The train stops here. If an important variable is missed, you have collected the data, gone. So that is why this first step is very, very important. Second step is specify the type of interviewing method. Whether you want to, let's say, do the electronic survey on the website or email, or you want to give personal survey face to face, or you want to give mail survey over there, mailbox, postal mail. Specify that type of interviewing method. Why? Because it has an impact on the wording of the question, the format that you use for the question. For example, for a particular department store project, for a mail questionnaire, which means this questionnaire which is sent over postal mail, the question reads like this, that is given on your screen. Please rank order 10 stores in order of your preference. Give rank 1 to the one you prefer most, rank 10 to the you prefer least. That is when you send over Postal mail, the same thing. Rank order if you want to see. Through telephone, you cannot say A, B, C, 10 stores, because if you want to arrive at rank order, you can do that by measuring them on by measuring them through rating, and then later on arriving at ranks. From rating you can go to ranking. When you are asking in telephone, you can say how much you prefer buying from this store, 1 to 10. 10 strongly prefer, 1 not at all prefer. Store number 1, store number 2, prefer store number 1, store number 2. That will be easy on the telephone questionnaire. And then whatever score you got, you can arrange based upon then rank order 1 to 10, whatever. If face to face, it can be done in this way, that is given on the screen. You have 10 cards, you can give cards. So as it is written, here is a set of department store names, each written on a separate card. Please examine them carefully and then give me the card for the store that you prefer most, and in that order. That is face to face. There is a different way of doing it. That is why the questionnaire would become different for different type of interviewing method. So it is similar to, let's say, if you are angry on somebody, you want to show anger in a professional setup, you will use a different language. In personal setup, you will use different language, right? Likewise, this, depending upon type of interviewing method, you will use different format of questionnaire of each particular question. So the second step is over. The third is determine the content of individual. After we know these two steps, the step number 2 is content of individual questions that we are going to put. Now we will determine that, and for doing that, please look at the exercise sheet that you have. So you have a worksheet like this, right, where step number 3 is written, and we will identify how to determine the content of individual question in the survey. So one is we have the multi-item scales, that is fine, but there also we can improve those wordings, and the other questions which are other than the multi-item scales, for them also all these steps are valid. For multi-item scales also these steps are valid. So let's look at step number 3. What is step number 3? Determining the content of the individual questions. So one of the question is given on the left side. Some statements, questions are given, and they have some problems. You have to tell me what are the problems with them, so that we know what are the popular or common concerns when we are determining the content of individual questions that need to be taken care of. You know, yawning is very contagious. I cannot, but I can see. But you know, when your friend yawns, you also would yawn, and the third person who is looking at also would yawn. But when you stand here, you do not. It goes away. Okay, so determining the content of individual question. The first one is, do you think Coca-Cola, if somebody asks you, do you think Coca-Cola is a tasty and refreshing soft drink? Let's say yes or no. What is the problem with this statement? It's a leading question. Leading, what is the meaning of leading question?
You're basically asking them to give you the answer that you're looking for.
But you are saying, do you think Coca-Cola is a tasty and... Okay, in a way, let's say, okay, there could be possibility of leading question, a very good observation, which we will look at in the questions to come. But here I wanted to look at some other issue, but a very good observation. Possible that it could be a leading question.
They are actually asking two things together, tasty and refreshing.
So what she is saying is, do you think Coca-Cola is a tasty and refreshing soft drink? If you say yes, it means it is tasty and refreshing. If you say no, it means both. But if you find one as tasty, other as so if you say that it is tasty but not refreshing, how would you answer? Or sometimes people would not understand the and or things which are written. If you say yes, it will be yes both. No, no. But no, people also would say that no means what? If both, is it for both? Do you think Coca-Cola is it tasty or for one or which one of them? So generally these kind of questions when you are putting and or in the same statement, that is wrong. These are called double barreled questions. So the first concern is double barreled questions. Your question should not, you should avoid writing combining two things together, two characteristic of an object, two things together in a single statement and asking strongly agree. You should not do that. How would you write it correctly? You can write both statements separately. Is it tasty? Is it refreshing? So this problem will be taken care of. Leading question might not be taken care of. That we will see later on. Next one is, why do you shop at Zara? What is the problem with this question? No, I said open-ended are possible. So I said questionnaire is mostly structured, but there are possibilities of unstructured questions as well, open-ended questions as well. Why do you shop at Zara? For example,
because it is convenient for me. It is because it suits my status.
that's why.
So the respondent might not show us.
Yes, the respondent might not shop at Zara, but as we let's make an assumption that we are going to a customer who shops at Zara. That is also a good observation, but since I wanted to bring some other point, but it's a good observation.
It is like that hidden issue questioning thing that we did. They may give an answer, but the actual reason they shop at Zara may have.
That is also very good observation, that why do you shop at Zara? So in-depth interview would bring the actual reason, but this might not. But I want to bring some other issue in this survey. That is the limitation of doing a survey. But what is the problem in this question? Yeah.
We are trying to measure certain attributes of any particular product. This might give us answers on very different attributes.
Yeah, this will be open-ended. Here this is open-ended answer, right? Here we will not get any quantification, but that is acceptable. As I said, you can include some open-ended questions in a questionnaire. Somebody said, because we are looking at the multiple attributes, and so let's say, why do you shop at Nilgiris? One would say, I like the variety here more than the other stores. Other would say, my mom shops here, or my friend told that it has good variety and quality. My friend recommended it. The other reason could be, I shop here for nuts, special nuts. So if you look at all of these three things, why question, you will get answers to three different sub questions. What are these sub questions? One is, question is not specific. So how you will write it? There are three. So you can get three different answers to three different specific questions. So why do you shop at Nilgiris? One is, my friend recommended it, which means the question could be, how did you come to know of Nilgiris? Second is, it has more variety than other stores. How do you compare Nilgiris with other stores? That would have been the two questions. Another question, I shop for nuts. What do you buy at Nilgiris? So so why question have some questions hidden inside? So better use those specifics rather than asking why in a survey. In in-depth interviews differently. As we said, we had that ladder thing. So which means If you are asking why, better to break it down into 3 underlying questions. Now the next one is step number 4A. Third step is complete. So when you are developing a questionnaire, you have to keep these first step 3 are complete. Step number 4 is overcoming inability to answer, which means you have to overcome respondents' inability to answer so that they can answer correctly. The idea is get closer to the truth. Step number 4 is you have to frame the questions in such a way that respondents is able to answer, not unable to answer. What is the problem in this first one? If it is asked to a husband, what is your family's last month expenditure on milk? The assumption is that the husband would be unaware of expenditure on milk consumption. At least the generation, not my generation, definitely not your generation, but a generation before my generation. If the survey is for them, so the husband would not be aware of. So if you are asking a husband for consumption, he would give some answer. That would not be true. That would maximum be approximate. You do not want things to be approximate. That is why what you should do, you should ask these questions to the person who is knowledgeable about this. So that is one, overcoming inability to answer, which means when you are asking questions, ask the respondent who is aware of that thing, not somebody who is not aware of that thing. Next time, what is the problem? Next question, how many times did you personally go out to buy groceries in the last month? What is the problem? May not remember. So ask the question in a way that the person would remember. How many times did you personally go out to buy groceries in the last month? Instead of saying that, can you say on an average or in a typical week, how many times do you personally, you can write you personally, not your family members, to prevent misinterpretation, right? So which means you can ask in a typical week, how many times do you personally go out to buy groceries? Whatever number is given, if you want to measure in the month, multiply it by 4. You will get your answer, right? So the person may not remember in the way you have asked, but ask it a different way so that the inability to answer comes down. The next one is describe the atmosphere of the, let's say describe the atmosphere of the departmental store you most often visit. If you ask this to a respondent, describe the atmosphere of the department store. Atmosphere of the department store. First of all, atmosphere is a wrong word here. But let's say they understand, describe you are asking somebody from the marketing class, describe the atmosphere / ambience of the department store you most often visit.
What are the components of the story dimension? So the respondent might not know what are the components of the ambience.
Definitely.
So you should ask specific questions.
Like how I will describe the atmosphere that might not match with how he will describe the atmosphere. So
that is fine. So the problem here, yes, your issue is also right, that he would not know dimensions or constituents. That we also do not want him to know. Na? He can answer in his own way. Boring, dull.
If the question was more specific, like was the placement of this product on the shelf accessible to you, or something like.
But it is about the ambience of the department store. No, you might want people to tell you whether the ambience, what was the ambience like, whether it was, lively, well lighted, full of life, active. Problem here is the articulation. Every respondent would not be able to articulate it. problem here is there could be other problems, but one of the problem here is articulate. Everybody would not be articulative enough for you to give the answers. You might, if you do such studies, you might also come across respondents who, when you ask question, they would just run away by seeing you. Have you seen that Big Bang Theory? Oh, Big Bang Theory, Raj is there. Sometimes he runs away when asked a question, especially by the opposite gender, right? So this would happen when you do go to a store. Sometimes you ask question. So here you are asking a difficult question. Describe the ambience or atmosphere. Even if I give this in the exam, some people would not be able to articulate. And then they will raise hand and ask, sir, atmosphere, what should I write? So this is how confusing it is. So the idea is, what should be done? You should ask, either you give them 10 adjectives and tick them. How did you find the ambience of the store? Tick among them. That is one way. So you have to make them articulate. So articulation problem, you have to overcome that articulation. How can you do that? In this way.
Sir, but if we give them adjectives, wouldn't we be influencing their...
Yes. But that's why give the popular adjectives that you think could describe, and you can also give any other. Now the next one, look at the overcoming unwillingness to answer. This is also part of step number 4. This is 4B. Overcoming unwillingness to answer. Sometimes people would be unwilling to answer. If you ask them, how many times, let's say you are taking a survey, how many times do you brush your teeth? Somebody say, I am not willing to answer. Why should I answer you? Who are you? Relationship, let's survey, relationship status. How does it concern you? How you can overcome this unwillingness to answer for questions. Let's look at the first question. How many liters of milk did you consume in the last month? Yeah, they will also not be able to remember, but here we are looking at another issue, unwilling to answer. How many liters of milk did you consume in the last month? What is problem with this? People would not be willing to put the effort. Why should I calculate into one day how many packets, half liter, 3 into 30? Why should you want respondent to do that? Why can't you ask this question that how many liters of milk do you consume on a typical day? Day you ask and multiply by 30 on your own. You have to minimize the effort that is required of the respondent to answer your question. How much water do you drink in a day? How do you answer this? 1 drum, 1 jug, 1 glass, 10 glasses, glass size is also different. You will have to, if I say green tea consumption and somebody says 1 cup, 7 cups, so what is size of the cup? That also, if you say 100 ml, people also do not know what is 100 ml, 200 ml. So how do you say it? This all you will face. The next one is, please list all the sections from which you purchased on your most recent shopping trip to a retail store. What is the problem? Somebody who comes to IIT, please write down all the locations you went inside the IIT when you visited it. Let's say IIT Madras is doing this survey to find out where people most often visit or where people visit when they come to IIT. Please list all the locations, specific locations or specific department centers / where you went during your visit to IIT. Again, here the problem is you are requiring people to put effort. Why don't you give all the departments and centers and say tick the ones you visited to make it easy for them so that they do not have to recall. They have to only recognize where I went. So the next one, a fast food restaurant asking to a customer, do you wash your hands before every meal? When they are dirty, after going to the toilet, when you blow your nose, or not very often? What is the problem here?
Taboo.
Something similar to brushing your teeth or taking a bath.
Yes. So what is the problem here? You are going to a fast food restaurant, they are asking you this question, do you wash your hands before every meal when they are dirty, after going to the toilet, when you blow your nose, and so on. You would say, why should I answer? How does this concern? I come to eat, give me food, take money, I go away. When you don't, but if you want answer, what you will do? You will say, you will make this question look legitimate. You will say, we are concerned about the health and hygiene that we provide to our premium customers like you, and in order to provide you best of the hygiene and experience, we are asking you and every other customer the questions about their personal hygiene. Would it be appropriate for you to answer, or we'll appreciate if you answer this question. So you are legitimizing the purpose of this. Even then many will not answer, but at least the legitimate purpose is known now. Let's say if in the admission form, if in the application form, admission form of IIT, MBA, it is written, what is your relationship status? Married, unmarried, single, in a relationship. You would say, what is this? I want admission in MBA, or why it is all asked? Some people will leave it open, right? But if it is written that it is seen that this program is very rigorous and stressful, we are identifying whether people have enough social support for them to help to complete the program. Please answer. You are legitimizing the question, and then people will answer. Otherwise, they will not answer. The next one is also similar. A restaurant asking to a customer, what is the television serial you like best to watch? They say, what is this? Then you have to legitimize, saying that we are worried, we are concerned about the entertainment that people get at the restaurant while they have their meals, because we have, we are going to, let's say, invest in entertainment, electronic related to entertainment, and subscribe the channels and so on. So you have to legitimize this. Context has to be set up for the question. Next one, if the question is asked, have you ever hit someone with your vehicle? If you have to ask this question, let's say you are from traffic police and you are doing this survey nationwide, and this question, have you ever hit someone with your vehicle? What you will say? Nobody will say yes, right? Now, how to get people to give the right answer? No problem, confidential, we will not take any action. Name, do not mention, email number, phone number, don't mention anything. Then also people won't answer sometimes.
We can reverse it. How many times you have been hit?
Have you ever been hit by
with an accident or something like that?
That is possible, but then how? So that is, here the idea is that how many times you hit with your misdriving, not how many times you can be walking and get hit. You cannot have an assumption from that about whether you were driving it right or not. One way is that, say that in recent survey it was observed that 80% of the drivers having the license have hit someone at least once in their, after they obtained the license. How many? Then you ask, have you ever hit someone? You see the numbers are 80%. No. If I have it, you will at least try to right answer, right? You would not lie because this it. So sometimes you would have to do that. Otherwise, sensitive question you won't. This is sensitive question. You won't get the right answer. In one of my studies, we did that where we were asking about the buyer in the B2B business whether they passed any sensitive information to a particular seller. So we had to use a particular statement. It is seen that somebody with whom you have a good rapport and so on. The buyers who have good rapport with certain salespeople, it is seen that 80% of them and so on. So you have to get the right answer. The idea is to get closer to the truth. In sensitive questions, how do you do that? One of the ways is this. Other way is have the sensitive question in between crowded questions. That is one way. So it need not be factual. Best is if it is factual, but if you are not getting any fact regarding that, you can actually make these statements because saying that that this is a sensitive question. So one of the ways to get the right answer to a sensitive question is normalizing that situation using this. So you can do that.
But won't the question of ethics will come?
Yes, but that you will have to address before you make the questionnaire.